The cargo hauler drifted through empty space like a tired whale swimming through an ocean of stars. David Lee sat in the pilot seat, his weathered hands resting on controls he could operate in his sleep. 58 years old with gray streaks in his hair and lines carved deep around his eyes. He had been flying alone for 6 years now. Ever since the accident, ever since he lost them, the console beeped softly. David glanced at the screen, expecting another routine navigation update. Instead, red text flashed across the display. Distress signal. Automated beacon. Coordinates appeared, showing a location deep in an asteroid field 2 hours off his route. His ship's computer spoke in a flat, emotionless voice. Unregistered distress beacon detected. Origin unknown. Protocol recommends ignoring signal and continuing scheduled route. David stared at the flashing coordinates. Protocol. Always protocol. Follow the rules, mind your business, deliver your cargo on time. That's what kept cargo pilots alive in the vast emptiness between colony worlds. But someone was out there. Someone needed help. His finger hovered over the ignore button. Then he thought of his daughter's face. His son's laugh. The rescue teams that had arrived too late to save them when their colony dome breached. Minutes too late. Just minutes. He changed course. The asteroid field loomed ahead like a graveyard of broken stone. David navigated carefully, his ship sliding between massive rocks that tumbled slowly through the void. The distress beacon grew stronger. Then he saw it. A ship, or what remained of one. The vessel was unlike anything in his memory. Smooth curves instead of hard angles, bioorganic plating instead of manufactured hull panels. It looked grown rather than built. The ship had crashed into a large asteroid, its hull torn open. Atmosphere vented into space in frozen crystals that glittered like diamonds. Life signs detected inside, his computer announced. Warning. Species unknown. Galactic Council classification, hostile unknown. Do not approach, repeat, do not approach. David suited up anyway. He grabbed his emergency medical kit and sealed his helmet. The airlock hissed as he stepped into space. His magnetic boots clanked against the asteroid surface. He walked slowly toward the crashed ship, following a path through the debris. The hole in the hull was large enough to climb through. Inside, emergency lights flickered. The interior was warm, humid, strange. The walls seemed to pulse faintly as if alive. Organic technology. Rare and expensive, then he heard it. A sound that made his blood freeze. Crying. Children crying. David moved faster, following the sound through twisted corridors. He found them in what looked like a living chamber. A large creature lay on the floor, clearly dying. She looked like the dragons from old Earth stories. Scales covered her body in patterns of blue and silver. Wings folded against her back, torn and bloody. Her chest moved in shallow, painful breaths. 3 smaller versions of her huddled against her side. Babies. Their scales were duller, softer. Their wings were tiny, undeveloped. The largest was maybe the size of a 10-year-old human child. The smallest could fit in David's arms. All 3 turned to look at him. Their eyes were huge, terrified. The largest one spread her small wings and hissed, trying to look dangerous, but her body trembled. The middle one pressed closer to their dying mother. The smallest began to cry harder. David's translator clicked on, processing their language. Words formed in his helmet display. Please, the largest baby said in broken galactic common. Please don't hurt us. Mommy is dying, please, we don't want to die. The dying mother opened one eye. She looked at David. Her voice was weak when she spoke, but his translator caught the words. Human, she whispered. Kill them quickly, please, don't let them suffer. Don't let them be taken. Quick death. Better than what others will do. David stood frozen. His mind raced. These were the hostile unknowns? These terrified children and their dying mother? He slowly removed his helmet. The air was breathable. The 3 babies gasped and pressed closer together. Showing his face was a universal sign of trust. No armor between them now. I'm not going to hurt you, David said quietly. I'm not going to hurt your babies. The mother's eye widened. Confusion, disbelief. Liar, she breathed. All species hunt us, kill us, take our scales. Worth fortune. You lie. David knelt down slowly. He opened his medical kit. The babies flinched. He pulled out a pain medication injector. Human medicine, but the basics of biology were often similar. This will help the pain, he said to the mother. He showed her the injector.
May I?
Tears formed in the mother's large eyes. Real tears. She nodded slightly. David pressed the injector against her neck. The medication hissed into her system. She gasped, then relaxed slightly. The pain lines around her eyes softened. Why? She whispered.
Why help?
Because you need help, David said simply. Because they're scared. Because I can. The smallest baby made a sound. A whimper. David looked at her. So small, so afraid. She reminded him of his daughter at that age. Before the accident. Before everything ended. What happened to you? David asked the mother. Hunters, she said. Her breathing was getting worse. We were running. They shot us. We crashed. She looked at her 3 babies. My children, Rin, Kara, Pip, please, if you won't kill them fast, then just leave. Let them die here. Better than being caught. David's jaw tightened. Nobody's dying today. Not if I can help it. You can't fight hunters, the mother said. Impossible. You're one human. Then we'll run, David said. He looked at the 3 terrified babies. Can you 3 walk? Can you come with me to my ship? They looked at their mother. She was crying now, scales wet with tears. Go, she told them. Trust him. I don't know why. But trust him. She looked at David. Protect them. Promise me? I promise, David said. The mother closed her eyes. Her breathing stopped. The 3 babies began to wail. A heartbreaking sound that echoed through the dead ship. David felt his own eyes burning. He knew this grief. He lived with it every day. The largest baby, Rin, looked at him with devastated eyes. You promised, she said. You promised Mommy. I did, David said. And I keep my promises. Come on, we need to go now. Bring whatever you need, fast. The 3 babies gathered a few small items, blankets, trinkets. The smallest one, Pip, grabbed a stuffed toy. Then they followed David back through the corridors, back through the hole, back across the asteroid, back to his ship where everything was about to change. Behind them, his ship's sensors began screaming warnings. 2 ships approaching fast, hunter signatures. They had minutes at most. David sealed the airlock and ran for the pilot's seat. The 3 dragon babies huddled in the corner of his cabin, holding each other, scared, alone, orphaned, just like he had been after losing his family, but he hadn't been able to save them. Maybe he could save these 3. Hold on tight, he told them. This is going to be rough. The hunters were coming. And David was about to break every rule in the book. 2 massive ships emerged from the darkness like predators circling wounded prey. David's hands flew across the controls, trying to coax more speed from his cargo hauler. The 3 dragon babies pressed against the wall behind his seat, their scales reflecting the warning lights that flashed red throughout the cabin. His communication system crackled to life. A rough voice filled with cruel amusement spoke in Galactic Common. Human cargo pilot. This is Captain Torvin of the Scalorian Hunter Guild. You have salvage that belongs to us. 3 Dravian juveniles. Surrender them immediately and we'll let you live. You have 2 minutes to comply. David's jaw clenched. He glanced back at the 3 babies. Rin wrapped her small wings around her younger siblings. Kara buried her face against Rin's chest. Pip clutched her stuffed toy and stared at David with terrified eyes. Don't give us to them, Pip whispered. Please, Papa Human, they'll hurt us, Papa Human. The words hit David like a punch. His daughter used to call him Papa before bed every night. That voice. That trust. That innocent belief that parents could fix anything. He turned back to the controls. Computer, how long until we can jump to faster than light speed? 15 minutes. Engine charging. 15 minutes. The hunters would board them in 5. David made a decision. He opened the communication channel. Torvin, this is David Lee. I don't have any salvage. I have 3 children who just lost their mother. Turn around and leave. Laughter erupted from the speaker. Children? They're Dravians, human, pests, animals. Their scales are worth more than your entire ship. Now stop wasting my time. Prepare for boarding. The hunter ships moved closer. Grappling beams shot out, locking onto David's hull. He felt the clunk of magnetic clamps attaching. They were coming aboard. David stood up. He looked at the 3 babies. Listen to me carefully. Behind that panel is a cargo bay. Inside are containers with radiation shielding. Their sensors can't detect life signs through that shielding. Hide in there. Don't make a sound, no matter what you hear. Understand? Rin nodded. She was trying to be brave. What about you? I'll handle this, David said. He helped them pry open the floor panel. The cargo bay below was dark and cold. Get in the shielded containers. I'll come get you when it's safe. Kara grabbed his hand. You won't let them take us? Promise? David squeezed her small clawed hand gently. I promise. Now go, hurry. The three of them dropped into the cargo bay. David sealed the panel just as his airlock began to cycle. The hunters were inside his ship. He stood in the middle of the cabin, arms crossed, trying to look calm even though his heart pounded. 5 hunters entered. They wore heavy armor and carried weapons that hummed with power. Captain Torvin was in front. He was Scalorian, a species that looked like walking lizards with too many teeth. His yellow eyes fixed on David. Well, human. Where are they? I told you. 3 children who just lost their mother. I took them somewhere safe. Torvin's tongue flicked out, tasting the air. I smell them recent, they were just here. He gestured to his crew. Search the ship. Find them. The hunters spread out, checking every compartment. David stood still, forcing himself to breathe normally. If they found the babies, this was over. If they found them, everything he promised meant nothing. One hunter stopped at the cargo bay panel. Life signs below, Captain. Multiple containers. David's blood ran cold. Torvin smiled, showing all his teeth. Open it. That's my cargo, David said quickly. Medical supplies for the colony. Sensitive equipment. I don't care if it's your grandmother's ashes, Torvin said. Open it or we'll blast it open. David walked slowly to the panel. His mind raced. He had maybe seconds to think of something. Anything. He opened the panel and climbed down the ladder into the cargo bay. The hunters followed, their weapons raised. The bay was filled with containers. David's actual cargo was mining equipment. Volatile, dangerous if mishandled. And in one corner, 3 shielded containers held the most precious cargo he'd ever carried. Spread out, Torvin ordered. Check every container. A hunter approached the shielded containers. David moved fast. He grabbed a pry bar from the wall and swung it at a container of mining explosives. The container cracked. Volatile chemicals began to leak. Stop, David shouted. That's unstable mining explosive. You crack those containers open wrong, we all die. This whole bay goes up. Your ships too if they're still attached. The hunters froze. Torvin's eyes narrowed. You're bluffing, am I? David hit another container. More cracks. More chemicals leaking. The air began to smell sharp and dangerous. I've got nothing to lose. But you do. Your ships, your crew, your profit. All gone if this bay explodes. Want to risk it? Torvin stared at him. The silence stretched. David's hand tightened on the pry bar. If this didn't work, he was dead. The babies were dead. But at least the hunters wouldn't get them. You're insane, Torvin said finally. Maybe, David said. Now get off my ship. Detach your grappling beams, leave. For 3 Dravian whelps? You'd die for them? Yes, David said simply. Now get out. Torvin gestured to his crew. Slowly, they backed toward the ladder. You're making a mistake, human. I'll spread word across every hunter frequency. Everyone will know you have them. Hundreds of hunters will come. You can't fight them all. Maybe not, David said. But I'll try. Now leave my ship. The hunters climbed back up. David waited until he heard the airlock cycle, until he heard the clunk of grappling beams releasing. Then he ran to the shielded containers and threw them open. 3 pairs of terrified eyes stared up at him. Safe. Alive. David nearly collapsed with relief. Are they gone? Rin asked. For now, David said. He helped them out of the containers. Pip threw her small arms around his leg. Kara was shaking. Rin tried to look brave, but tears ran down her scaled cheeks. David climbed back up to the cabin. The hunter ships were pulling away, but they weren't leaving. They were following, waiting, watching. His computer spoke. Engine charged. Ready for faster than light jump. David's fingers flew across the controls. Behind him, the 3 babies huddled together. The smallest one, Pip, looked up at him. New mommy? She asked in confusion. David's throat tightened. I'm not your mommy, little one. You protect us like mommy, Pip said. You promised like mommy. Your new mommy. Kara looked at him with those huge eyes. Can we call you Papa David? Like Papa Human, but your name? David closed his eyes for a moment. The grief hit him fresh and raw. His own children. His daughter and son. Gone for 6 years, but the wound never healed. And now these 3. These scared orphaned babies who had no one else. Yes, he said quietly. You can call me Papa David. Rin moved closer. Papa David? Where are we going? Human space, David said. It's a long journey, weeks, maybe months. But we'll be safer there. Will they follow us? Kara asked. David looked at the sensor display. The hunter ships were still there. Still following. And Torvin's threat echoed in his mind. Word would spread. More hunters would come. Probably, David said honestly. He wouldn't lie to them. But I'll keep you safe. I promise. Mommy made promises, Pip said softly. Then she died. David picked up the smallest baby. She was surprisingly light. Her scales were warm. She smelled like cinnamon and something sweet he couldn't identify. She buried her face against his shoulder. I'm not your mommy, David said, but I'm still here. And I'm not going anywhere. He initiated the jump. Space twisted. Stars stretched into lines. His ship leaped forward into faster-than-light travel, leaving the hunters behind. For now. But David knew the truth. This was just the beginning. Torvin would spread the word. Every hunter in the galaxy would know. One human cargo pilot protecting 3 Dravian babies worth a fortune. They would come. All of them. Hunting, chasing, wanting their prize, and David. He was just one man with a cargo ship. No weapons, no armor, no crew. Just him and 3 orphaned babies who trusted him with their lives. His computer beeped. Incoming transmission on multiple hunter frequencies. Broadcasting your ship identification and cargo. Bounty posted. Warning, extreme danger. David looked at the 3 babies curled up together on his cabin floor. Rin protecting her siblings. Kara holding Pip. All 3 of them looking at him with complete trust. He'd failed to save his own family. Maybe he couldn't save these 3 either. Maybe Torvin was right. Maybe he was insane, but he was going to try. 3 weeks passed like a dream and a nightmare combined. David's small cargo ship became home to 4 souls instead of 1. He taught the babies how human things worked. They taught him about Dravians. Rin learned to help with navigation, her quick mind understanding the star charts faster than David expected. Kara discovered human food and tried to cook, though her attempts usually ended with smoke and laughter. Pip followed David everywhere, her small clawed hand always reaching for his. But the peace couldn't last forever. David stood in the engine room, repairs half finished around him. His ship was dying slowly. Too many jumps. Too much strain. The warning lights on his console had multiplied like weeds over the past week. Now the main engine was overheating. If he didn't stop for repairs, they wouldn't make it to human space. They'd drift dead in the void. The nearest place was Razor's Edge, a space station that existed in the cracks of civilization. No laws, no rules, just survival and profit. David had avoided it his whole career. But now he had no choice. Papa David? Rin appeared in the doorway. She was growing. Her wings were bigger now. Her scales brighter. In a few years, she'd be beautiful. If she lived that long, why are we slowing down? Engine's broken, David said. We need to stop. Get parts, worry crossed her face. She was too young to carry such fear. But these weeks had aged her. Is it safe? David wanted to lie. Wanted to say yes, everything would be fine. But he'd promised not to lie to them. No, it's not safe. But we don't have a choice. Kara and Pip appeared behind Rin. The 3 of them had become shadows, always together. Always watching out for each other. Pip clutched her stuffed toy. Will the bad people be there? Pip asked. Maybe, David said. So we need to be very careful. You 3 stay in the ship. Hide if anyone comes. I'll get the parts and we'll leave as fast as possible. They nodded. But their eyes were scared. Razor's Edge looked like a broken wheel spinning slowly in space. Ships of every size and species clustered around it like flies on old meat. David docked in a dark corner, paying extra for a private bay. He sealed the cabin door from the inside and gave Rin the emergency code. I'll be back in 1 hour, he told them. If I'm not back in 2 hours, take the ship and run. Jump anywhere. Just run. We won't leave you, Rin said firmly. David touched her cheek gently. You will if you have to. Promise me. She didn't promise. But she nodded. David stepped onto the station. The air was stale and smelled like oil and alien spices. Creatures of 100 different species crowded the corridors, traders, smugglers, mercenaries, killers. Everyone here was running from something or hunting something. He found a parts dealer in a shop that looked ready to collapse. The dealer was a molten, his rocky skin glowing faintly with internal heat. Engine coolant converter, David said. Universal fit, fast. The Molten's eyes narrowed. You're that human. The one on the broadcasts. David's blood went cold. I don't know what you mean. Sure you don't. The Molten pulled out a datapad and showed David. His own face stared back. Underneath, text scrolled. Wanted. Human cargo pilot David Lee. Harboring stolen property. 3 Dravian juveniles. Bounty. 5 million credits. Alive preferred. Dead acceptable. 5 million. David's hands clenched into fists. I don't have 5 million, he said quietly. Nobody does, the Molten said. That's why half the hunters in the sector are on their way here. Word spreads fast in places like this. He paused. I got your part, take it. No charge, David blinked. What? I said no charge. The Molten handed him the converter. My colony starved 15 years ago. Crop failure. We sent out distress signals. Everyone ignored us. Everyone except a human relief ship. They gave us food, seeds, medicine, asked for nothing. Saved 5,000 of us. He met David's eyes. Humans are weird. You do things that don't make sense. Helping when you should walk away. I don't understand it. But I remember it. Now get out of here before the hunters arrive. David took the part. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just keep those kids alive. And human? Yeah? You're going to need more than gratitude to survive this. David hurried back through the corridors. He was halfway to his ship when alarms blared. Red lights flashed. Station speakers crackled. Attention all inhabitants. Hunter fleet approaching. 7 ships, repeat, 7 ships. Station lockdown in 5 minutes, David ran. Behind him he heard shouts, footsteps, someone recognized him. The crowd moved like a living thing. Some people fleeing, others moving toward him with greed in their eyes. He reached his docking bay. Sealed the door behind him. His ship was right there. Safety was meters away. Then he saw them. 5 figures surrounding his ship, armed, waiting. And through the ship's window, 3 small faces pressed against the glass. Terrified, David's options vanished. He was outnumbered, outgunned. 1 middle-aged cargo pilot against 5 professional bounty hunters. He walked forward anyway. That's far enough, human, one hunter said. She was Phylixian, cat-like and dangerous. We've got your ship surrounded. Surrender the Dravians and we'll let you walk away. No, David said. We're being generous, another hunter said. Split the bounty. Everyone wins except you. I said no. The Phylixian's tail lashed. You can't fight all of us. You can't even fight one of us. You're nobody. Just a pilot. David looked at his ship, at the 3 faces in the window. Rin with her arms around her siblings. Kara crying. Pip holding her toy. You're right, David said. I'm nobody. Just a pilot. Just one human. He stepped closer. But those kids? They're everything. And you're not taking them. Last chance, the Phylixian said. Her weapon hummed to life. David grabbed a cargo hook from the wall. Not a weapon. Just a tool. He charged. What happened next was chaos. David wasn't a fighter. He'd never been military. Never been a soldier. But he was a father who'd lost his children. And these 3 babies trusted him. Believed in him. Called him Papa. That had to be enough. He swung the cargo hook. Caught the Phylixian in the shoulder. She screamed. Another hunter fired. The shot burned across David's ribs. Pain exploded through him, but he kept moving. Grabbed a hunter's weapon. Smashed it against the wall. Kicked another hunter's knee. Heard something crack. He was losing. He knew it. Too many opponents. Too much pain. Blood ran down his side. His vision blurred. Another shot. His shoulder. He fell. The hunters surrounded him. Weapons pointed at his head. Stupid human, one of them said. You could have walked away. David coughed. Blood on his lips. No, I couldn't. The Phylixian raised her weapon for the final shot. Then the ship's door exploded open. 3 small dragons charged out. Rin led them, her scales blazing with light. Kara and Pip behind her. They were tiny. Babies. But their scales glowed like stars and heat radiated from them. Don't hurt Papa David. Rin screamed. She breathed fire. Actual fire. Small flames, barely more than a candle, but fire nonetheless. It caught a hunter's armor. He yelped and stumbled back. Kara did the same. Pip tried, but only managed smoke. The hunters laughed. Started to raise their weapons toward the babies. David found strength he didn't know he had. He lunged forward. Grabbed the nearest hunter's legs. Pulled him down. Run! He shouted at the babies. Get back in the ship! but they didn't run. Rin spread her small wings and hissed. Kara moved in front of David protectively. Pip grabbed his arm with her small claws and tried to pull him away. "We won't leave, Papa," Rin said. "Never." The station shook. Explosions outside. The hunter fleet was attacking. Trying to force entry, the docking bay doors groaned under pressure. The Phylixian looked between David and the babies. At this broken human and 3 tiny dragons protecting each other, something changed in her eyes. "This is wrong," she said quietly. "What?" another hunter demanded. "Look at them," the Phylixian said. "Look at what we're doing. They're children. Children protecting their father. And we're going to kill them for money?" "They're not children," the hunter argued. "They're Dravians." "They're both," the Phylixian said. She lowered her weapon. "I'm out. This isn't worth it." Another hunter lowered his weapon too. "Me too, this feels wrong." But 3 hunters remained, 3 who didn't care about wrong or right. Only profit. The station shook again. Harder this time. The docking bay doors were failing. David pulled himself up using Pip's small body for support. Blood soaked his clothes. His vision swam. But he stood between the 3 remaining hunters and the babies. "You want them?" he said. His voice was weak but steady. "Then you go through me. All of you, together, because I'm not moving. Not ever. These are my kids, and I protect my kids." The station's communication system crackled. A new voice, deep, authoritative, human. "This is Admiral Patricia Barnes of the Human Colonial Navy. All hostile forces stand down immediately. This station is now under human protection. Any harm to David Lee or his charges will be considered an act of war." Through the station windows, massive human warships appeared. Dozens of them. The hunter fleet outside scattered like frightened birds, and through another entrance something else appeared. Ships that seemed grown rather than built. Organic. Beautiful. Glowing, with soft light. "This is Matriarch Lissa of the Dravian people," another voice said. "Ancient, sad, powerful. For 300 years we have hidden. For 300 years we have believed all other species hate us. One human proved us wrong. We are hiding no more." The 3 remaining hunters looked at each other. At David, at the babies, at the massive fleets outside. Then they ran. David collapsed. The 3 babies caught him. Their scales glowed brighter, warm, healing. Ancient Dravian medicine flowing through them instinctively. "Papa," Pip cried. "Don't die like Mommy." "Not dying," David whispered. "Just tired." The last thing he saw before darkness took him was 3 worried faces. 3 children he'd saved. 3 kids who'd saved him right back, white ceiling, sterile smell, soft beeping. David opened his eyes slowly. His body ached, but the sharp pain was gone. Medical equipment surrounded him. Tubes connected to his arms. Bandages wrapped around his chest and shoulder. He was alive. And sleeping around his bed, curled together like puppies, were 3 small dragons. Rin had her wing draped over Kara. Kara held Pip close. All 3 breathed slowly, peacefully, safe. David tried to sit up. His body protested. A nurse rushed over, a young human woman with kind eyes. "Easy," she said. "You were badly hurt. You've been unconscious for 3 days." 3 days? David's voice was rough. "The babies? The Dravians? They're fine. They haven't left your side except to eat. The little one, Pip, cried so hard when we tried to separate them from you that we just gave up and let them stay." David looked at the 3 sleeping forms. His throat tightened. "Where am I?" "Human medical ship. Part of Admiral Barnes's fleet." The nurse checked his vitals. "You're a hero, you know. Everyone's talking about you. What you did. How you protected them." "I'm not a hero," David said. "I just did what anyone should do. But most people don't." The nurse smiled. "That's why it matters." The door opened. A woman entered, tall, dark-skinned, with admiral stars on her uniform. Patricia Barnes. She looked at the sleeping dragons and smiled slightly. "They really won't leave you," she said. "We tried to give them their own room. Better beds. They refused. Said their place was with Papa David." David felt his face heat. "Admiral, just Patricia is fine." She sat in the chair next to his bed. "You caused quite a situation, David Lee, breaking protocols, harboring classified unknowns, starting an interstellar incident. I should court-martial you." David met her eyes. "Will you?" "No," Patricia laughed quietly. "Hard to court-martial someone who just changed the galaxy. Do you know what happened while you were unconscious?" No, Patricia pulled out a data pad. This is you. Your ship's logs, automatically uploaded to military networks like all civilian vessels. Usually nobody watches them. Boring cargo runs. But yours? She played a video. David saw himself on the screen, giving medicine to the dying mother, promising to protect her babies, standing between them and the hunters, fighting when he should have died, refusing to abandon them even with a weapon pointed at his head. This went viral across human space, Patricia said. Every human colony has seen it. But it didn't stop there. Someone leaked it to the Galactic Council. Now every species has seen it. Billions of beings watching one human choose 3 alien children over his own safety. I didn't do it for attention, David said. We know. That's why it matters. Patricia leaned forward. For 300 years, Dravians were classified as hostile unknowns, dangerous to be avoided or eliminated. Want to know why? Why? Because their scales are valuable, bioluminescent, powerful, and greedy people wanted them. So those greedy people spread lies, made everyone believe Dravians were monsters, dangerous, not sentient, just animals to be harvested. David looked at the 3 sleeping babies. Rin stirred slightly, mumbling in her sleep. They're children, yes, but nobody wanted to admit that. Because if they're children, if they're sentient, then what we've been doing to them for 3 centuries is genocide. Patricia's voice hardened. The Galactic Council is in emergency session. The Dravian people have come out of hiding. They've been watching, waiting, hoping someone would show them mercy. You did. One human did what the entire galaxy refused to do. You saw them as people. What happens now? David asked. Everything changes. Dravians are demanding council membership. Full species rights, protection. Other species are arguing. Some are angry. Some are ashamed. Some, like the Molten who helped you, are standing with the Dravians. They're bringing up their own stories. Times humans helped them when others wouldn't. David shook his head. I'm just a cargo pilot. I'm not special. That's exactly why you're special. Patricia stood. You're not a diplomat, not a hero, just a father who saw scared children and helped them. That's what humans do. We help, we care. We choose compassion even when it costs us. Other species call us weird for it, inefficient, illogical. But you know what? The galaxy is watching now, and they're starting to ask themselves why they didn't help, why they looked away, why one human did what billions of others couldn't. The door opened again. This time a being entered that took David's breath away. She was Dravian, ancient, huge. Her scales shimmered with colors David had never seen. Her wings were magnificent. She moved with grace and power, but her eyes were sad. So sad. Matriarch Lisa, Patricia said respectfully. He's awake. Lisa approached the bed slowly. She looked at the 3 sleeping babies. Tears formed in her large eyes. Shara's children, she whispered. I knew their mother. She was my niece. When we heard she was killed, we mourned. We thought her children were dead too. Or worse, taken by hunters. To be sold, broken, destroyed. I'm sorry for your loss, David said. Lisa looked at him, really looked at him. You're sorry? You saved them. You protected them. You nearly died for them. And you say sorry to me? I couldn't save their mother. No one could. She was already dying when you found her. Lisa touched each sleeping baby gently. But you saved them. You gave them a future. Do you know what that means to my people? David didn't know what to say. For 300 years we've lived in fear, Lisa continued. Hiding, running, watching our people hunted, killed. We believed every other species in the galaxy hated us, wanted us dead or enslaved. We taught our children that trust meant death. That kindness was a trap. We became bitter, angry, lost. She turned back to David. Then you appeared, one human. One person who looked at dying mother and scared children and chose to help. No profit, no reward, just compassion. You shattered everything we believed about the galaxy, about other species, about hope. I just did what was right, David said. Yes. And that's what the galaxy cannot understand. Doing what's right even when it costs everything, even when it makes no logical sense. Even when you gain nothing. That's humanity. That's what we saw in you. That's what the entire galaxy saw in you. Pip stirred. Her eyes opened slowly.
She saw David awake and her face lit up.
Papa David. She climbed carefully onto the bed, mindful of his injuries. You're awake. We were so scared. Her movement woke the others. Rin and Kara rushed to his sides, all 3 talking at once, touching him gently. making sure he was real and alive. "We thought you died," Kara said, tears in her eyes. "Like Mommy, we thought we lost you." "I'm right here," David said. He hugged them carefully. "I'm not going anywhere." Lisa watched them. More tears fell. "You've claimed them as your own, adopted them in your heart." "Yes," David said simply. "Then by Dravian law and custom I recognize this bond. You are their father. They are your children. No one can separate you." Lisa touched David's shoulder. "And you are now family to all Dravians. What you did for these three, you did for all of us. We owe you a debt that can never be repaid." "I don't want payment," David said. "I just want them safe. They will be. I promise." Lisa looked at Patricia. "The council meets today. We will demand justice, not just for what happened to Shara, for 300 years of genocide, of lies, of hunting children for profit. This ends now." Patricia nodded. "Humanity stands with the Dravians. We've already made that clear." "And others are joining," Lisa said. "The Molten people, the Felixian delegation, even some former hunters who saw what happened and felt shame. One human's compassion is creating ripples across the galaxy." David looked down at 3 pairs of eyes staring up at him. Trusting him, loving him, his children, not by blood, not by species, but by choice, by love. "What about us?" he asked. "The kids and me. What happens to us?" Patricia smiled. "That's up to you. You're cleared of all charges. Your ship is being repaired. You can go back to cargo runs if you want. Or," she paused, "you could stay, help us, be an ambassador of sorts. Show the galaxy what you showed these 3. That family isn't about species or blood. It's about love." David thought about his old life, alone in space, running from grief, carrying cargo to fill empty days. Then he looked at Rin trying to look brave, Kara holding his hand, Pip curled against his side. "I think I'm done running," he said. "These 3 need a father, a home, stability. That's what I'll give them." "Then welcome to the new world," Patricia said. "Because what you started here, it's bigger than any of us. The galaxy is changing, and it's changing because one man looked at 3 scared children and chose to help. That's the story everyone will remember. The human who saved the dragons. The father who changed the galaxy." But David barely heard her. He was too busy holding his children, his 3 beautiful, brave, impossible children. And for the first time in 6 years, the grief in his heart felt lighter, because he couldn't save his first family. But maybe, just maybe, he'd saved something more important. Hope. The Galactic Council chamber stretched vast and circular, designed to hold representatives from 200 species. Today it was completely full. Every seat occupied, every eye watching the screens that showed one simple image. A human man protecting 3 small dragons. The footage played again and again. David fighting hunters. David promising a dying mother. David collapsing while 3 babies tried to shield him with their tiny bodies. Ambassador Ruth Okafor stood at the human podium. She was elderly, her hair white, her face lined with age, but her voice carried power when she spoke. For 300 years, this council classified Dravians as hostile unknowns. For 300 years, we allowed them to be hunted, killed, harvested like crops. We told ourselves they weren't sentient, weren't people, weren't worth protecting. She gestured to the screen. "This is David Lee, a cargo pilot. No military training, no diplomatic experience, no special skills. Just a man who saw 3 terrified children and their dying mother and chose to help. One human did what this entire council refused to do for 3 centuries. He saw them as people." Angry voices rose from various delegations. A Scalorian representative stood. "Those creatures are valuable resources. Their scales have medical properties. We can't simply abandon centuries of established trade." "Trade?" Ruth's voice cut like a blade. "You call genocide trade? You call hunting children trade? Let me be very clear. Humanity will no longer allow this. Any species that continues to hunt Dravians will be considered enemies of humanity. We will defend them. We will protect them. We will go to war if necessary." Shocked silence filled the chamber. Humanity had never threatened war over another species before. Never drawn such a hard line. Another representative stood. "A Molten elder? The Molten Confederation stands with humanity and the Dravians. We too have benefited from human compassion. When my world starved, humans fed us. They asked nothing in return. This is who they are. This is what they do." and we will stand with them. A Phylixian delegate rose next. The Phylixian clans were in civil war 30 years ago. Humans negotiated peace, gave medical aid to both sides, treated our wounded even as we fought each other. They didn't have to help. They gained nothing, but they helped anyway. She looked around the chamber. I've watched the footage of David Lee. That's humanity. That's who they've always been. And if we ignore this, if we continue to allow the hunting of sentient beings, then we're no better than animals ourselves. More voices rose, some in support, some in anger. The council descended into chaos. Then Matriarch Lyssa entered the chamber. Every voice fell silent. No Dravian had entered this chamber in 300 years. She walked slowly to the center. Her ancient scales glowed softly. Her wings spread slightly, showing old scars from long-ago battles. I am Lyssa, last matriarch of the Dravian people. I stand here today because one human showed my niece's children mercy. One human proved that not all species are monsters. One human gave my people something we lost centuries ago: hope. She turned slowly, looking at every delegation. We have hidden for 300 years. We have watched our people hunted. We have buried our children. We have lived in fear and anger. We believed every species in this council wanted us dead or enslaved.
Were we wrong?
No one answered. I see, Lyssa said softly. Silence is its own answer. You knew what was happening. You knew children were being killed. You knew and you did nothing. You allowed it because our scales were profitable. Because admitting we were sentient meant admitting you were committing genocide. So you looked away. A council member tried to speak. Lyssa's voice rose, powerful and terrible. No, you will listen. For 300 years you have spoken. Now I speak. Now you hear the voice of a people you tried to erase. We are not animals. We are not resources. We are people. We love our children. We mourn our dead. We dream of peaceful futures. We are exactly like you, and one human saw that truth. One human acted on that truth. The question now is simple. Will you? The chamber stayed silent. Ruth spoke again. The Dravian people are requesting full council membership, full species protection, full rights under galactic law. Humanity supports this request. Any species that opposes this request is declaring that they believe genocide is acceptable, that hunting children for profit is acceptable, that 300 years of murder is acceptable. So I ask now, who here will stand with the Dravians, and who will stand against them? Slowly delegates began to stand. The Molten, the Phylixian, a Horethi delegate, a Crystalline. One by one, more than half the chamber rose. Not everyone, but enough. More than enough. The Scalorian representative remained seated. This is economics. This is tradition. You can't simply change 300 years of established practice. Watch us, Ruth said. As of this moment, humanity is establishing a protection zone around all known Dravian populations. Any ship that enters that zone with hostile intent will be destroyed. No warnings. No negotiations. Protection at all cost. Other species are welcome to join us in this protection, or they can be considered threats. Far away on a human medical ship, David sat with his 3 children. They were watching the council proceedings on a screen. Rin held his hand tightly. Kara leaned against him. Pip sat in his lap. They're fighting about us, Rin said quietly. About whether we're people. David hugged her. You are people. Anyone who can't see that is blind. But what if they vote no? Kara asked. What if they say we're not people? Then they're wrong, David said simply. And we'll keep fighting until they understand. Being people isn't something others get to vote on. You're people because you are, because you think and feel and love and hurt. That's what makes you people, not what some council says. On the screen, Lyssa continued speaking. I brought something with me today. Evidence, records, names. She activated a holographic display. Thousands of faces appeared. Dravian faces. These are my people who were killed in the last 50 years alone. Thousands of them, children, elders, families, all dead, all murdered. All for profit. The images shifted, showed memories. Dravian children running, being caught, screaming. The chamber flinched. Some delegates looked away. Others wept. You want to know why we hid? Lyssa said. This is why. Because showing ourselves meant death. Because asking for help meant being hunted. Because every species we met tried to kill us. She turned to the human delegation. Except one. Humans were different. They helped without being asked. They protected without gaining profit. They chose compassion over greed. David Lee is not unique among humans. He is simply the most visible example of what humans are, what they've always been. A small figure appeared on the screen behind Lissa. Pip. Somehow the broadcast had connected to their medical ship. David tried to turn off the screen, but Pip was already speaking. "My mommy died," Pip said. Her small voice echoed through the massive council chamber. "Bad people shot our ship. Mommy crashed. We were so scared. We thought the human would hurt us too, because everyone hurts us. But Papa David didn't. He was nice. He gave Mommy medicine so she didn't hurt. He promised to keep us safe. And he did. He fought bad people. He got hurt protecting us. He didn't have to. He could have left. But he didn't, because he loves us. And we love him." Pip looked directly at the camera. "Why do you hate us? We didn't do anything bad. We just want to live. We just want to play and learn and be with Papa David. Why is that wrong?" Silence. Complete and total silence in the council chamber. Then a Scalorian delegate, one who had argued against Dravian rights, stood and left, walking out in shame. Others followed. Not everyone, but enough that the message was clear. Ruth smiled slightly. "I believe we have our answer. Those remaining, we vote now. All in favor of granting the Dravian people full council membership and full species protection." Hands rose, tentacles, claws, appendages of every kind. "More than 2/3 of the council. The motion passes," Ruth said. "The Dravian people are now full members of the Galactic Council. Hunting them is now classified as murder. Killing them is now genocide. Their scales are their own. Their children are protected. Their worlds are sovereign. Welcome home, Matriarch Lissa. Welcome home, Dravian people. We are sorry we took 300 years to do what should have been done immediately." Lissa bowed her head. Tears fell freely down her scaled face. 300 years of fear. 300 years of running. Over because one human saw children who needed help. Back on the medical ship, David turned off the screen. He looked at his 3 children. They were crying but smiling too. Happy tears. Relieved tears. "What happens now?" Rin asked. "Now we go home," David said. "Where's home?" Kara asked. David thought about his empty cargo ship. His lonely years drifting through space. Running from grief. Running from memories. He thought about his daughter and son who died 6 years ago. The family he couldn't save. Then he looked at Rin, Kara, and Pip. 3 children who needed him. 3 children who loved him. 3 children who gave him purpose again. "Home is wherever we are together," David said. "I'm thinking maybe a colony world. Somewhere with good schools. Room to play. Maybe other Dravian families nearby so you can learn about your own culture. And humans too. So you can learn about both your heritages." "Both?" Pip asked. "You're Dravian," David said. "That's your species. Your blood, your mother's gift to you. But you're also mine now. My children. So you get both. The best of both worlds." Rin smiled. Really smiled. "I like that. Being both. Being Dravian and being yours." Admiral Patricia entered the room. "Sorry to interrupt, but there's someone here to see you all." An elderly Dravian entered. She moved slowly, her scales dull with age, but her eyes were bright. She looked at the 3 children and gasped. "Shara's babies," she whispered. "Oh, my beautiful babies." "Great Aunt Mira," Rin said uncertainly. The elderly Dravian rushed forward as fast as her old body could move. She gathered all 3 children in her wings. "You're alive. You're alive. When we heard about the attack, we thought you were gone. We mourned. We grieved. And now you're here, safe, because of this human." She looked at David. "Thank you. Thank you for saving my family. My niece's children. Thank you." "They're my family too now," David said. "Yes," Mira said. "And that makes you my family as well. By Dravian custom, you are now clan. Blood of my blood. Part of us forever." Patricia smiled. "Looks like your family just got bigger, David. The Dravian Council wants to meet you. So do about 50 human news organizations. You're famous. A hero." "I'm just a father," David said. "No," Patricia said. "You're the man who changed the galaxy. The man who reminded everyone what really matters. Not profit, not tradition, not fear. Just compassion, just love, just doing what's right." David looked at his children, all 3 of them watching him with those trusting eyes. He was just a cargo pilot who saw scared children and helped them. But sometimes that's exactly what the galaxy needs. Sometimes one person choosing compassion changes everything. 10 years had passed since that day in deep space when David found 3 terrified children and their dying mother. 10 years since one choice changed everything. Now David stood in the garden of his home on the colony world of New Haven, watching 3 young dragons play with human children in the afternoon sun. Rin was 22 in human years now. Her scales had deepened to brilliant blue. Her wings were magnificent, strong enough to carry her through the sky for hours. She wore a uniform. Captain's uniform. She commanded the first mixed-species exploration ship in galactic history. Humans, Dravians, Molten, Felixian, and a dozen other species working together. Exploring unknown space. Building bridges instead of walls. Kara was 19. She had chosen medicine. Her scales were silver now, constantly shimmering. She worked in the research hospital, developing treatments that worked across species, bridging the gap between different biologies, saving lives in ways nobody thought possible. Just last month, she'd created a cure for a disease that affected 3 different species. The youngest researcher to ever win the Galactic Medical Prize. And Pip, little Pip who had called him Papa David that first day. She was 16 now, still the baby of the family but growing fast. Her scales were golden, rare, and beautiful. She had chosen diplomacy, the youngest ambassador in council history. She spoke 7 languages fluently. She negotiated treaties. She solved conflicts. And she did it with the same innocent wisdom she'd had as a child. The same ability to ask simple questions that made everyone stop and think. David was 68 now. His hair was completely gray. His body moved slower. But his eyes were bright when he watched his children. His daughters. Not by blood, but by choice. By love. A shuttle landed in the clearing beyond the garden. Ruth Okafor climbed out, older now too, but still sharp. Still fighting for what was right. She walked over to David. Big day, she said. Yeah, David agreed. Think they'll really do it? They'd be fools not to. But then again, the council has made foolish choices before. They were talking about the monument. After 10 years, the Galactic Council had finally agreed to build a memorial. Not for a war. Not for a great leader. But for compassion. For one moment when everything changed. For 3 scared children and the human who chose to help them. The ceremony was in an hour. Beings from across the galaxy would attend. It would be broadcast on every world, every station, every ship. Billions would watch. David didn't want to go. He'd argued against the monument. Said it was too much. That he didn't deserve it. But Rin had taken his hand and said, Papa, it's not about you. It's about what you represent. What you taught the galaxy. Let them honor that. Let them remember. So he'd agreed. Pip came running over, her golden scales catching the sunlight. Papa, you need to get ready. We can't be late. I know, baby girl. I'm coming. I'm not a baby anymore, Pip said with dignity. Then she grinned. But I'll always be your baby girl. Kara appeared next, elegant in her medical robes. The shuttle is ready. Rin is already there. She had to arrive early because of her captain duties. David nodded. He walked slowly to the shuttle with his 2 daughters on either side. Ruth followed. Other families from the colony came too. Humans and Dravians living together, working together, raising children together. This was what New Haven was. What the galaxy was becoming, slowly, with setbacks. But changing the ceremony site was at the council headquarters. A massive plaza that could hold thousands. Today it held tens of thousands. Beings of every species imaginable, all there to witness history. David's shuttle landed. He stepped out. Immediately cheers erupted. Thousands of voices in hundreds of languages all expressing the same thing. Gratitude, respect, love. David felt overwhelmed. Pip took his hand. Kara took his other hand. Together they walked through the crowd to the stage where matriarch Lissa waited. She was ancient now, the oldest living Dravian, but she insisted on being here today, David, she said warmly. My son, for that is what you are to all Dravians. Our son, our brother, our family, matriarch, David said respectfully. He'd learned proper Dravian greetings over the years. The formal words. The traditional gestures, Lissa laughed. Still so formal. After all these years, come, let me show you what we've built. She led him to a massive sheet covering something tall. Rin stood nearby in her captain's uniform. She smiled when she saw David, his firstborn. His brave Rin who'd tried to protect him with her tiny flames all those years ago. The crowd fell silent. Lissa spoke. Her voice was amplified across the plaza and across the galaxy. 10 years ago, one human changed everything. He saw a dying mother and 3 terrified children. He could have followed protocol, could have walked away, could have chosen safety over compassion. Instead, he chose to help. He chose to protect. He chose to love. That choice started a chain reaction that transformed our entire civilization. She gestured. The sheet fell away. The monument was beautiful, carved from living crystal that glowed softly. It showed David kneeling, his arms around 3 small dragons. His face showed pain and determination and love. The 3 children looked scared but hopeful. Around the base, words were carved in 200 languages. Here stands one human who reminded the galaxy what it means to be civilized. Not power, not wealth, not conquest, but compassion, love, the courage to help when help is needed. May we never forget this lesson. Tears ran down David's face. He couldn't help it. All these years, all these changes, all because he saw 3 children who needed help. Lissa continued. The David Lee Memorial stands not to honor one man. It honors a choice, a principle, a way of being. It reminds every being who sees it that compassion transcends species, that love transcends biology, that doing what's right matters more than doing what's profitable. Ruth stepped forward. On behalf of humanity, I accept this monument. But more than that, I accept the responsibility it represents. The responsibility to continue David's legacy. To see others not as aliens or unknowns but as people. To help when help is needed. To protect when protection is required. To love beyond boundaries. Other delegates spoke. Molten, Felixian, Horathi. Species that had been enemies now spoke as friends. All because one human showed them a different way. Finally, Pip stepped forward. Little Pip, who was now Ambassador Pip. She looked tiny next to the monument, but her voice carried across the plaza. I was 6 years old when Papa David saved us. I remember being so scared. My mommy was dying. The bad people were hunting us. I thought my life was over. Then this strange human appeared. He was gentle. He was kind. He promised to keep us safe, and he did. Even when it meant fighting. Even when it meant getting hurt. Even when it meant risking everything. Pip looked at David. Papa taught me that family isn't about what you look like. It's about who you choose to love. Who you choose to protect. Who you choose to stand with when things get hard. He chose us. 3 little dragons nobody wanted. And he made us his family. He gave us a home. He gave us love. He gave us a future. She turned back to the crowd. This monument isn't really about Papa David, it's about all of us. It's asking each of us a question. When you see someone who needs help, will you walk away? Or will you be like Papa David? Will you choose compassion? Will you choose love? That's the question this monument asks, forever, to everyone who sees it. The crowd erupted in cheers. David stood there overwhelmed. His 3 daughters gathered around him. Rin with her captain's bearing. Kara with her healer's compassion. Pip with her diplomat's wisdom. All 3 of them his. All 3 of them loved. Ruth leaned close to David. Do you understand now? What you started? What you changed? David looked around. Saw humans and Dravians standing together. Saw other species mingling peacefully. Saw children of different species playing together without fear. Saw what the galaxy had become. I just saw kids who needed help, he said quietly. Exactly, Ruth said. That's exactly why it mattered. You didn't see Dravians or unknowns or classified threats. You saw kids. That simple shift in perspective changed everything. The ceremony continued, speeches, music, celebrations, but David barely noticed. He was remembering. That first moment in the crashed ship, Pip crying, Rin trying to be brave, Kara trembling. Their mother's dying plea, the choice he'd made. He'd lost his first family, his wife, his daughter, his son. The grief had nearly destroyed him. He'd been running from that pain for years, alone in space, carrying cargo to fill empty days. Then 3 scared children gave him purpose again, gave him family again, gave him a reason to live again. He hadn't saved them. They'd saved him. Later that night, back home on New Haven, the family gathered in their living room. David sat in his favorite chair. Rin sprawled on the floor, wings folded comfortably. Kara curled up on the couch. Pip sat at David's feet, her head resting against his knee like when she was small. "Papa," Pip said quietly, "do you ever regret it? Choosing us? Everything you went through?" David looked at his 3 daughters. His beautiful, brilliant, brave daughters who'd grown from terrified children into amazing women, leaders, healers, explorers, each making the galaxy better in their own way. "Never," he said. "Not once. Not for a second. You 3 are the best thing that ever happened to me. You gave me a reason to keep going when I thought I had nothing left. You gave me family when I thought I'd never have family again. You gave me purpose. You gave me love. So no, baby girl, I don't regret a single moment." Kara smiled. "Even the part where you got shot protecting us?" "Especially that part," David said. "Because it showed me something important. It showed me that love isn't just words. It's action. It's sacrifice. It's standing between danger and the people you love and saying, 'Not today.' That's what parents do. That's what love is." Rin sat up. "We want to show you something, Papa." She pulled out a data pad. "Remember how I'm commanding the first mixed-species exploration ship?" "Of course," David said. "I'm so proud of you. Well, we're going on a long mission. 2 years. Deep space exploration. Looking for new worlds, new life. Building alliances." Rin smiled. "And we're naming the ship." The crew voted. They chose the name unanimously. She turned the datapad around. It showed a beautiful ship under construction. And on the hull, written in letters that gleamed, was the name, Compassion's Choice. David's throat tightened. "That's beautiful. That's what you taught the galaxy," Rin said. "That compassion is a choice. That love is a choice. That helping others is a choice. And that choosing compassion, choosing love, choosing to help, that's what makes civilization. That's what makes us more than animals. You taught us that, Papa. And now we're going to carry that message to the stars." David couldn't speak. He just opened his arms. All 3 of his daughters piled onto him in a group hug. Wings and scales and human arms all tangled together. A family that shouldn't exist by any logical measure, but existed anyway because of love. Outside, the stars shone bright. Somewhere out there, other species were watching, learning, growing, changing. All because one man saw 3 scared children and chose to help. All because David Lee looked at 3 baby dragons crying for their dying mother and said, "I won't hurt you. I'll keep you safe." That promise changed the galaxy. That choice made history. That moment of compassion rippled across civilization like a wave, washing away old prejudices, old hatreds, old fears. And at the center of it all was one simple truth, one profound lesson. Family isn't about blood. It's about love. Civilization isn't about power. It's about compassion. And sometimes the smallest choice, the simplest act of kindness can change everything. David Lee was just a cargo pilot who saw kids who needed help. But that was enough. That was everything. And the galaxy would never be the same.